Jane Eyre, Chapter 10, Part 3. The box was corded, the card nailed on. In half an hour the carrier was to call to take it to Loughton, whither I myself was to repair at an early hour the next morning to meet the coach. I had brushed my black stuff travelling dress, prepared my bonnet, gloves, and muff, sought in all my drawers to see that no article was left behind, and now having nothing more to do, I sat down and tried to rest. I could not. Though I had been on foot all day, I could not now repose an instant. I was too much excited. A phase of my life was closing tonight, a new one opening tomorrow. Impossible to slumber in the interval. I must watch feverishly while the change was being accomplished. "Miss," said a servant, who met me in the lobby, where I was wandering like a troubled spirit, "a person below wishes to see you." The carrier, no doubt, I thought, and ran downstairs without inquiry. I was passing the back parlor, or teacher's sitting room, the door of which was half open to go to the kitchen, when someone ran out. "It's her, I'm sure. I could have told her anywhere," and cried the individual who stopped my progress and took my hand. I looked. I saw a woman attired like a well-dressed servant, matronly, yet still young, very good-looking, with black hair and eyes and lively complexion. "Well, who is it?" she asked in a voice with a smile I half recognized. "You've not quite forgotten me, I think, Miss Jane." In another second I was embracing and kissing her rapturously. "Bessie, Bessie, Bessie," that was all I said, whereat half laughed, half cried, and we both went into the parlor. By the fire stood a little fellow of 3 years old in plain frock and trousers. "This is my little boy," said Bessie directly. "Then you are married, Bessie?" "Yes, nearly 5 years since, to Robert Levin, the coachman, and I've a little girl besides Bobby there, and I've christened Jane." "And you don't live at Gateshead?" "I live at the lodge. The old porter has left." "Well, and how do they get on?" "Tell me everything about them, Bessie, but sit down first, and Bobby, come and sit on my knee, will you?" But Bobby preferred sitting over to his mother. "You're not grown so very tall, Miss Jane, nor so very stout," continued Mrs. Levin. "I dare say they're not kept you too well at school. Miss Reed is the head, and shoulders taller than you are, and Miss Georgiana would make 2 of you in breadth." "Georgiana is handsome, I suppose, Bessie?" "Very. She went up to London last winter with her mamma, and there everybody admired her, and a young lord fell in love with her. But his relations were against the match, and what do you think? He and Miss Georgiana made it up to run away, but they were found out and stopped. It was Miss Reed who found them out. I believe she was envious, and now she has her and her sister lead a cat and dog life together. They're always quarreling." "Well, and what of John Reed?" "Oh, he is not doing so well as his mamma could wish. He went up to college and got plucked, I think they call it. And then his uncles wanted him to be a barrister and study the law, but he is such a dissipated young man, they will never make much of him, I think." "What does he look like?" "He is very tall. Some people call him a fine-looking young man, but he has such thick lips." "And Mrs. Reed?" "Mrs. looks stout and well enough in her face, but I think she's not quite easy in her mind. Mr. John's conduct does not please her. He spends a good deal of money." "Did she send you here, Bessie?" "No, indeed. But I have long wanted to see you, and when I heard that there had been a letter from you, and that you were going to another part of the country, I thought I'd just set off and get a look at you before you were quite out of my reach." "I am afraid you are disappointed in me, Bessie," I said, laughing. I perceived that Bessie's glance, though it expressed regard, did in no shape denote admiration. "No, Miss Jane, not exactly. You are genteel enough. You look like a lady, and it is as much as ever I expected of you. You were no beauty as a child." I smiled at Bessie's frank answer. I felt like it was correct, but I confess I was not quite indifferent to its import. At 18, most people wish to please, but the conviction that they have not an exterior likely to second that desire brings anything but gratification. "I dare say you are clever, though," continued Bessie by way of solace. "What can you do?" "Can you play the piano?" "A little." There was one in the room. Bessie went and opened it, and then asked me to sit down and give her a tune. I played a waltz or two. She was charmed. "The Miss Reeds could not play as well," she said exultingly. "I always said that you would surpass them in learning. And can you draw?" "That is one of my paintings over by the chimney-piece." It was a landscape in watercolors, of which I had made a present to the superintendent in acknowledgment of her obliging mediation with the committee on my behalf, and which she had framed and glazed. Well, that is beautiful, Miss Jane. It is as fine a picture as any Miss Reed's drawing master could paint, let alone the young ladies themselves, who could not come near it. And have you learned French? Yes, Bessie, I can both read it and speak it. And you can work on muslin and canvas? I can. Oh, you are quite a lady, Miss Jane. I knew you would be. You will get on whether your relations notice you or not. There was something I wanted to ask you. Have you ever heard anything from your father's kinfolk, the Eyres? Never in my life. Well, you know, Mrs. always said they were poor and quite despicable, and they may be poor, but I believe they are as much gentry as the Reeds are, for one day, nearly 7 years ago, a Mr. Eyre came to Gateshead and wanted to see you. Mrs. said you were at school 50 miles off. He seemed so much disappointed, for he could not stay. He was going on a voyage of a foreign country, and the ship was to sail from London in a day or two. He looked quite a gentleman, and believed he was your father's brother. What foreign country was he going to, Bessie? An island thousands of miles off, where they make wine, the butler did tell me. Madeira? I asked. Yes, that is it. That is the very word. So he went? Yes, he did not stay many minutes in the house. Mrs. was very high with him. She called him afterwards a sneaking tradesman. My robber believes he was a wine merchant. Very likely, I returned, or perhaps clerk or agent to a wine merchant. Bessie and I conversed about old times an hour longer, and then she was obliged to leave me. I saw her again for a few minutes the next morning at Loughton, while I was waiting for the coach. We parted finally at the door of Brocklehurst Arms there. Each went her separate ways. She set off for the brow of Lowood Fell to meet the conveyance which was to take her back to Gateshead. I mounted the vehicle which was to bear me to new duties and a new life in the unknown environs of Milkor.